Good afternoon, everyone. This is a reminder that the university library will close at 6 p.m. this Friday, instead of its usual 10 p.m., because the electrical system is being upgraded. Please return any borrowed equipment, such as laptops or cameras, before leaving the building. Study rooms will also be unavailable after 5 p.m. We apologize for the inconvenience and appreciate your understanding. The library will reopen at its regular time of 8 a.m. on Saturday.
Question 1. Correct answer, B. Let's begin by identifying the main purpose of the announcement. The very first sentence tells us exactly why the speaker is making this announcement. This is a reminder that the university library will close at 6 p.m. this Friday. Whenever an announcement begins with expressions such as, "This is a reminder," "Please note," or "We would like to inform you," the speaker is usually introducing the main purpose immediately. In this case, the speaker is informing students about a temporary change in the library's operating hours. Notice what the announcement does not do. It does not explain how to use the library. It does not advertise any new services or facilities. Instead, the entire announcement focuses on one important message. The library will close earlier than usual on Friday. Therefore, choice B is correct because it summarizes the overall purpose of the announcement. Everything else in the announcement, including the reason for the early closing, the return of borrowed equipment, and the reopening schedule, simply provides supporting details. Now, let's look at the incorrect answers.
Choice A, to advertise new study rooms. This is incorrect. The announcement never promotes or introduces study rooms. In fact, it tells students that the study rooms will not be available after 5 p.m. Therefore, this choice states the opposite of what the announcement says. Choice C, to explain how to borrow laptops. This is also incorrect. The speaker briefly reminds students to return borrowed equipment, but never explains how to borrow laptops or any other equipment. Simply mentioning equipment is not the same as explaining borrowing procedures. Choice D, to invite students to a weekend event. This choice is incorrect as well. The announcement never mentions any event, activity, or program taking place over the weekend. Instead, it simply explains when the library will reopen after the temporary closure.
Question 2. Correct answer, C. Now let's identify why the library will close early. The announcement clearly states, because the electrical system is being upgraded. The key word here is because. Whenever you hear words such as because, since, due to, as a result of, you should immediately pay attention. These signal words introduce the reason for an event or decision. In this announcement, the reason is straightforward. The library is closing early because the electrical system is being upgraded. Therefore, choice C is the correct answer. Now let's examine the incorrect choices.
Choice A is incorrect because the announcement never mentions a staff meeting. No employees or meetings are discussed. Choice B. This choice is also incorrect. The announcement never says the library is closing for cleaning. The only reason given is the electrical upgrade. Choice D. This is incorrect as well. A graduation ceremony is never mentioned anywhere in the announcement. Always choose the answer that matches the reason explicitly stated by the speaker.
Question 3. Correct answer, B. Next, Let's identify what students are instructed to do. The announcement says, "Please return any borrowed equipment." Notice the word please. In announcements, words such as please, remember to, be sure to, don't forget to, usually introduce an important instruction or request. Whenever you hear one of these expressions, listen carefully because the following information is often tested. Here, the speaker asks students to return any borrowed equipment before the library closes. Therefore, choice B is correct. Now let's review the incorrect choices. Choice A is incorrect. Students are never told to reserve study rooms. Reservations are not discussed at all. Choice C is also incorrect. The announcement never mentions Saturday classes or gives any instructions related to them. Choice D is incorrect as well. Students are never instructed to turn off computers. The only request made is to return borrowed equipment before the early closing time. Question 4. Correct answer, B. Finally, let's determine what we can infer about the library's regular schedule. The announcement says, "We'll close at 6 p.m. this Friday instead of its usual 10 p.m. The key word here is usual. Whenever speakers compare something with its usual, normal, or regular schedule, they are telling us that the current situation is an exception. Normally, the library closes at 10 p.m. However, this Friday only, it will close at 6 p.m. This tells us that the early closing is temporary, not permanent. Therefore, choice B is the correct answer. Now, let's examine the incorrect answers. Choice A is incorrect. The announcement clearly indicates that the schedule change applies only to this Friday. Nothing suggests that the library has permanently changed its operating hours. Choice C is also incorrect. The announcement never says that borrowed equipment may be checked out only on Saturdays. No borrowing schedule is discussed. Choice D is incorrect as well. The announcement states that study rooms will not be available after 5 p.m. on this particular Friday. It does not suggest that this restriction applies every day. Therefore, this is another temporary change, rather than a permanent policy.